The creative adult is the child who survived. It's an amazing thing to walk through our early childhood center to see the hallways lined with the art of our children. They love expressing themselves with glue and glitter and paint and anything they can get their hands on. They are not self-conscious yet. For them, it's about the journey of exploring with their hands and not so much about the final product. But as we get older, we become more inhibited. We learn to stay inside of the lines. We want to be able to control the outcome, and we get more self-conscious while we're trying to explore. And that encumbers our creative process. Somewhere along the way, we forget how to be creative beings. A major challenge is getting outside of our heads and focusing back on that still small voice within. Last year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and there was a barrage of information that kept coming to me, and I had a very hard time trying to make heads or tails about where I was in this whole process. And I needed to take time to sit with the deep emotions that were swirling around in my head and my body. And spending some time with the quiet, images started coming to mind. It's like a whole storybook. And those helped me process what it was that I was feeling in the moment. The very beginning of my diagnosis, this imagery of me standing on a cliff opposite another cliff with everybody else in my life kept coming to mind. I was in a place of feeling very isolated and alone in my diagnosis, and I decided to Google this image. And the more I looked at this image and these various images that were similar, I began to really understand what it was that I was feeling. And with the more information that came, the images started to shift in my mind, and I began to realize that there was going to be a process that was not linear in my healing and in my journey through cancer. Much like art, much like creativity, which is not linear, things are messy. Life is messy. We go back to the origins of our story, the story of creation, where there was this vast expanse and chaos and darkness. And from that, God began to create. He spoke the world into being. What an incredible opportunity we have to be masters of our own creation. We need to remember that we don't need to be artists to be creative. It's all about exploring new things, going outside of our minds and outside of our comfort zone, whether it's trying a new food, striking up a conversation with a complete stranger. All of these pathways into creativity allow us to see the world through a new lens. And there's so much beauty in the world. And when we can open up those pathways to creativity, we can experience the wonder of creation. The desire to create is the deepest yearning of the human soul.